fucking
You
solid.
ever had Chick-fil-A nuggets?
I've had a million Chick-fil-A nuggets.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I
Who are you
get a
talking
count
to,
every day.
Kyle?
Yeah. I'm gonna order some right just now.
Their chicken is legitimately like way better. They brine it in pickle juice for 24 hours or something like that, and then the batter has powdered milk and confectioner's sugar in it. I did this copycat recipe once, and it was exactly like Chick-fil-A. It was so good.
And have you noticed the actual pickles? Like
the
pickles themselves are better than the pickles you get at any other fast food place. Like you go to a non-Chick-fil-A place, and it's like, I don't even think I want tomatoes or pickles because I know a Wendy's tomato is a flavorless disc of nonsense. And I know their pickles are going to be someone back there giving me the most translucent sliver, the least half a gram. Whereas Chick-fil-A feels real, feels like real pickles. We stand Chick-fil-A on this show big time.
Yeah. I think the worst the worst stinginess I've ever seen was in Subway. Like Subway is you order like extra meat, they will take out the scale and they're like, all right, you get one. Oh, that's too much. That's a little bit too much. We're gonna put that one back.
Dude, if she pulled some meat off my sandwich and put it back in there, I'd just leave.
Dude, I had a
downgrade me one sliver of turkey meat.
It's so communist. It just feels like it's for the collective. We need some for everybody else.
I got Chili's to go, right? Back when Chili's to go was kind of a new thing. And I ordered bottomless chips, right? Bottomless chips are my reason for going to Chili. That's the thing. I actually like their salsa, and the chips are warm. Both of them, top notch. So when I'm there, I usually need a couple extra salsas. Like it's just, their salsas are fucking like, that when you get ketchup at Wendy's, it's that size salsa roughly.
Yeah. Damn.
Not nearly enough for bottomless fucking
I bring
chips.
my own bowl.
Right? So they give me this bag of chips large enough to store 2 human heads and then basically a single serving of salsa. So I asked for extra salsa because if I'm there, it's bottomless salsa. I need some extra salsas to take home with me. And then she billed me for it. And it was like, fuck. You work here, right? You're not the owner. We should be on the same team. You should be hooked. Oh, do you want extra salsa? Here you go, Woody. Fucking banging salsa.
We should have gotten you one of those.
You know what happens if you do that?
Cups.
The fucking tip rolls in. You know what happens when you charge me for salsa? That was your tip. Fuck.
Okay. All right.
I would have said that. I'd be like, oh, the extra sauce was $3, huh? Shit. Your tip was going to be $10. And now it's none.
You're actually saving me.
Now I got to stop at the store for salsa on the way home. You've given me an errand,
think that math works. I
like this idea.
So what do you guys like when you guys go out to eat? What are you tipping people? Like, is it dependent on service, or do you have like a hard and fast rule?
Like 20% is usually what I do. If they do a great job, I'll do more than that. And I actually they'd have to, at this point in time, they'd have to do a real shitty job to get less than 20, like a noticeably bad, like we've been here for 40 minutes and my food's and they haven't been back to the table.
I'm not as generous as Taylor, perhaps, because some people have this thing where they're like, oh, the bare minimum is 10%, Kyle. If they spit in your mouth, it's 10%. I'm like, what are y'all doing?
I do 25.
No, then it's 25.
Then it's 40. Then it's 40.
The minimum is we don't even pay the bill. like we might fucking run out of here and cause a scene.
You're quick.
If they spit in their mouth, you know what I mean? So like there is a 0 tipping level of service, and it's not that hard to get below that bar where you just don't fucking get a tip if you're not doing your job. Like it's like that Mr. I'm not so far as like that Mr. Pink speech from Reservoir Dogs with the little violin or whatever. It's not like that. But it's
she's only filled up my coffee cup 3 times. It should have been 6.
Look,
yeah.
I'll say this. If I was at a restaurant and this had been sitting here this long and my ice had melted, that's like, come on, what are we doing? Like it's a busy restaurant. You're like, what is she hanging out back there taking a nap? No, she's walking the floor constantly, and yet my ice is melted. My glass is only 1/3 full. Clearly, I want some more because it's gotten kind of watery now. Where the fuck is she? She just lost it. I don't think I'm tipping her. I don't think I'm tipping this lady.
God damn.
You guys are harsh.
What do you think a tip is? For you, I think a tip is like you're letting everyone know that, like, oh, it's implied that you get tips because that's the social construct, or we're all pay into this big wheel of the economy or something. To me, the tip is that extra little bit you get when you do a very good job. It is on top of whatever you get paid. I'm giving you extra because, oh my goodness, really, you are friendly. And I'll tip that extra service really well. 20-30%, whatever. And it really,
do you tip Chick-fil-A? Because you were just talking about how well they
they make below minimum wage. Yeah, they make.
They're working for tips.
These girls make shit.
Chick-fil-A girls decent money, I think.
I don't know what.
Well, they don't really work for tips.
They don't get tips. They should. Well, I bet. I don't know.
Nothing's keeping you from from tipping them.
I bet you could fucking add a tip on that fucking iPad.
I fucking hate the attitude. All right. So I want to answer the tip.
We're shifting gears.
First of all,
we're shifting gears to the tipping thing. I like that.
What I normally do, and if I have to notice standout bad service, or I just choose the rightmost tip. Typically, I don't give a fuck what it is, 25-30%. I just choose the one on the right, and I tip that. That's my standard thing. If she really sucks, then I might either go left or right in my own. But that's pretty rare. But what does frustrate me is how everything has become a tippable service now.
Yeah.
Every delivery guy, and that includes like, I don't know, like grocery deliveries and shit like that. They put their palm out. And then like, if you're at the counter and they hand you like a coffee at the counter, it's like, how much do you get a tip for that? I am standing at the counter getting my own food. This used not to be a tippable service.
Yes. Yeah.
Now that's tip worthy.
How about this? I want to use your barometer in one of my instances of giving a $0 tip. I remember specifically. Okay. Total, me and a date, total check came to like $145 or something like that. I know it was under
nice
150.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like we
better be
nice place. And the service was okay, but she didn't refill our drinks and she brought the wrong appetizer. And it was cold when it finally got out to us. And also it came so late that our entrees came right after it. And now it was one of those places with small tables and there wasn't enough room for everything. And while she was moving everything, she knocked off a candle and the wax splattered. It was a real candle. And they made a very big to-do about getting that wax up. And I just wanted to eat my dinner because the appetizer was already cold. Oh, and did I mention that she smelled like poo-poo? She smelled like she had... Oh, yeah, she smelled like feces so strongly that once we finally had her manager alone, I said, ma'am, would you smell our waitress, get a good whiff of her, please, and then come back so that we can discuss further. And she came back and said, I am so sorry. Smelled like doo-doo. I don't know if she had shat herself or if she had
been shat upon.
What it smelled like to me, honestly, was dog shit. It smelled like she had stepped in a big old pile of dog shit and she'd gone, oh no, it only got on my right foot. Hang on.
Oh no.
And then she got her left in there. And then she just got it and like anointed herself with it like it was like lint. Like it was fucking lint.
Like it was Ass Wednesday.
It was Ass Wednesday. That's what I meant. Yeah. What's lint? Do they put any shit on themselves on lint?
No, that's Ash Wednesday. Hungry? Lent is when it's like, all right, I'm not gonna fucking eat candy for a month because I'm a candy.
When I give up stepping in dog shit. Yeah.
And that's
that's what she needed to give up.
Yeah, and that's the sane religion, right? I see Biden with that shit on his head, and I was like, what the fuck, man? I never know if it's Ash Wednesday or if he's just dirty. You got a little schmutz on you again. But no, that waitress actually smelled like poo poo, and I didn't tip her.
I could see not tipping her too.
Yeah,
you know what? The poo thing, I'm actually more forgiving of than the other stuff. No. The appetizer that's late and cold really ruins my meal, and also the wax thing. Maybe I am an asshole. I don't know. But it's like, I would prefer you dealt with that wax after we left.
You know what I do
this is my date. And you're going to fucking do minor league construction next to the table?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That I'm actually about to go to that restaurant I mentioned to you the other day. If you go on your travels to Savannah, the old Pink House. Mm-hmm. I'm going on a little trip down to Savannah soon. and I plan to go there. I love that place. Every time. No, they do like... it's like they do Southern food well, I guess I'll say. Like it's I think it was I found it on Food Network. like whenever I'm traveling to a city, I do a little research about like where to eat, and I usually pick somewhere strange. Like remember when we went to Colorado and we ate at that place that had all the exotic meats and had all the animal heads?
Yeah,
I like shit like that. Yeah, that was crazy.
Mhm.
But the old Pink House is like Southern food done in a very fanciful way. It's really good.
You got to get these. You're going to get these fried green tomatoes, right?
That's the best thing. That's the bet with the remoulade sauce. They have two different. anyway, yeah, those are fucking great. Great restaurant. I go there every time I go anywhere near that part of the state. I'm looking forward to it.
So,
and I'll tip her well, I'm sure, because the service there will be excellent and nobody will smell like shit.
So I don't think of tipping as like as something that you get because you did a good job. Because if I travel to another country where they don't have tipping, the service generally is much worse than what you get in America. So I've noticed that it's because we have that incentive structure overall, and it makes things much more pleasant. Like people are more attentive, they're nicer. People in Europe and UK, they say, "Oh, it's like a fake niceness." I don't care. They're lovely to deal with.
Yeah.
So like,
it's a fake promptness. It's a fake refilling your drink on time.
You tip the baggage guy at the airport?
Yeah. No.
I always just bring carry-ons.
No. Actually, no. Yeah. Yes, I do. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I worked with a guy. Selling cars, and previously, and this is I don't know. You could tell he had the smell of money about him. I think if I was writing a novel, I would describe Mr. Strayhand as he had the smell of money about him at all times. He was like this. He was this black fellow, and he was talking about. I used to work for Delta, 25 years, retired now. I was a $500 a day man. I was like, he made $500 a day in tips, like handling people's baggage. And it's like, what is it about you that in this 60-second interaction of handling a bag that you're the guy who's good at it? But he was just so friendly and like,
when I was
charismatic.
17,
he was just a great guy.
I was a $200 a day man on tips, which was like 15 times what other people were getting. And my secret was rudeness. I would, what I did is I rented out beach chairs and umbrellas. And you haul them down to where they want to go. You lay out the chairs. I brush the sand off. I make a little show of it. I had a little, whisk broom that was only 6 inches long, and I would brush their thing and make it extra nice. And planting the umbrella it's a physical task. You take the stick and you sort of work it into the sand, and then you plant the umbrella. And it's got to be like 2 feet deep. There's a line on it to keep them safe because winds could change or whatever.
Okay.
And half the time, maybe less, just the show would inspire them to tip, right? Because I'm like sort of going above and beyond and making a thing out of it. If that didn't work, I would just stay. Just stick
around.
Yeah, I would just stand there until I got
You're like
tipped.
A prostitute. They pay you to leave.
If I needed to, I would whisper,
like,
I'm sorry, we normally tip for this. And maybe 1 in 30 would be like, that is so rude. I was gonna tip you, but now I'm not. First of all, that's always a lie. Second, I'm okay with getting shot down 1 in 30. I'm a $200 a day man.
That's dude, I love that. I think I understand that rudeness. I can remember somebody wasting my time and telling them that they had wasted my time. I was like, I'm trying to make a living here. Like we just spent 2 hours looking at 3 different cars that I caught on when the third car was an F-150 that we're just looking at cars. I'm like, I'm working here. And he's like he was like, you're awfully rude to me. I'm like, go tell my manager. Tell my manager that you're here to tour the inventory. I'm sure he'll be very polite and apologize, but he ain't gonna do shit to me. Like,
well, I was on a cruise about a month or two ago, and we got our bags at the curbside, whatever, check-in. So our bags went up to the room, and the guy that took the bags, he was like, I'm not going to see you on the boat, so if you want to give me a tip, I'm right here. And I was like, I'm the only person here. You're talking to me, okay? It's like, holy shit! Like I felt so put on the spot.
You got change? For
yeah,
$5?
so I didn't have, and I never carried any
$1?
cash. So I'm like,
So I threw a dime into the sea.
All I've got is a quarter. What do you have? A 20?
Is this like
Like
a
the
wishing
heart of the
well
ocean.
scenario?
Yeah.
yeah. But that was really weird. Like I ended up giving him like a 20 or something on Cash App because I didn't have any cash. So I was like, hey, do you have this? So then you got to do the whole like, all right, well, do you have your QR code? I got to scan that, and then just sitting there for for 5 minutes, and I'm like, I don't know, like I don't know this man, and he's just like scowling at me. I'm like, did I do something wrong? I'm sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, he
I
wants
did
to be
not
on
know.
the cruise.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, that is. I mean, I can see why you'd do that if that's your job, but that would be off-putting to me. And I generally don't have a problem tipping at places
Right.
as long as
I have
as
no
long as
problem
as long
tipping
as food is coming to me. If I'm picking up food somewhere, like, or if something's being delivered to me, or food is being served to me at a restaurant, then I'm going to tip. If I'm going somewhere and like picking up food, then I'm not. I don't see a reason to tip. Doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Like, but other than that, like I do. Like I see it kind of like the social contract thing of like, all right, like, you did a fine job. Here's 20%.
Yeah, I think sometimes, even if somebody has gives you shitty service, you never know what they're going through that day. And it's not like, you have to pay for it, but, a tip could be like, hey, I see you're probably going through something, here's some peace of mind or whatever. Like if I see, I remember having, an interaction with a pregnant woman at an IHOP. And then I ended up giving her, I don't know, a $50 or $100 tip or something. And then she runs out, and then she's like, oh my God, thank you so much. But like, I try to avoid those interactions because like, I hate that. So every time if I tip well, I try to just run as fast as I can. Not physically, but just like, just
you don't want to make a foray into those YouTube videos where you're like, I'm about to blow this homeless person's mind.
No, I hate that. I hate that.
You really? If you were
like a whole pickup truck full of rolled quarters that I'm going to throw at the home.
I'm just going to throw them overhead.
I've got a T-shirt cannon full of pennies.
Yeah, no.
For my next act of generosity, marbles.
Yeah,
exactly.
These are rare. Yeah. This is my lucky one.
My Pog collection. Just
my
Pogs. So, one thing that people can do, and I think that I do sometimes. Actually, every time I go to a drive-through, or like Starbucks is pretty good about this. So you can pay for everybody behind you. Like they'll just let you do that, and it's usually not a lot of money. It's like $10 or $15. It's not that big of a deal, but it makes somebody's day and whatnot. But like I said that on Twitter. I said, hey, you could pay for somebody behind you. And it'll make their day. Probably not going to cost you a lot of money. And the amount of like incredibly cheap and like cynical people came out like, well, I wouldn't want to be the guy because then I have to pay for the guy behind me. And then, I don't know if they're ordering $40 worth of stuff. I'm like, relax. If you don't want to do it, don't do it, dude. Like, just relax, man.
These socially inept people, their biggest concern is that it might be awkward for them if they're put in like, oh, well, then I might be actually weighed and measured, and people would see what I'm actually about. I don't want that.
Yeah,
like,
no.
That's you're a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit. like either that's what it is. Then I don't want to be put on the spot so that you'll see that I'm cheap.
Oh, well, that guy in the stinky McLaren in front of me is ruining my day.
They don't have to. They don't have to. And
I feel like you guys are like, oh, people who don't want to engage in this unfair payment scheme are jerks or something. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. It's possible that I have a whole family or something and I'm getting the good end of the deal, but it's possible I'm not. Can't we just do it fair where everyone pays for what they get? Why is that
just
bad?
Like Freddie's saying, like, it's a nice sentiment, but like, let's see, he's paying for me, and then I pull up and I look behind me and there's a passenger van. Like I'm gonna, and then they ask me, do you want to pay it forward? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to pay for the entire third grade class's apple juices. I'm just going to pay. I appreciate the guy in front of me. That was nice. And then you go about your day.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's like nobody's expecting that of you. But like,
it's never happened to me. But I don't go to Starbucks much.
I've never seen it either.
Just comes when people, especially on Twitter or X now, they go to great lengths to tell you exactly how cheap they are. Like I would never do that.
I would never do something for someone out of the kindness of my heart.
It might be a Key and Peele bit, but like the guy does that. He's like, hey, I want to pay for the people behind me, and they're like, oh, that's so cool. Hopefully they pass it on, and he's like, yeah, hopefully. And then he speeds out and like gets right fucking behind him. He's like, give me 500 double cheeseburgers, 500 milkshakes, 500 apple pies.
That's a good bit.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Have you guys? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was saying that's a ridiculous thing for people to get pissed at you on Twitter about.
Yeah, but it's Twitter. They
that's
get
the
pissed on
internet.
it, about everything.